You know what the hardest part of building wealth really is? It's not finding the right stock or having a perfect budget. It's patience. We live in a world where everyone wants quick results. They want to hit the next big thing, they want the next get rich quick scheme. But, wealth doesn't actually work like that. We may have these goals in mind where, we want a six-figure income by 25, we want to be a millionaire by 30, we want to be able to retire by 35. And, it's just the sad reality. And I think what a lot of us are fed, like a lot of lies that we're fed to through social media or through a popular influencer is it's just too quick. It's just that's really not how building wealth works for a lot of us normies, I guess you can say. And a lot of people just ignore the whole idea of patience. But like I said before, wealth doesn't work like that. And you if you don't learn patience, you'll just be stuck chasing shortcuts or chasing the next, like I said, get rich quick scheme. And it just won't last. You'll burn yourself out, and you'll just end up really never reaching that goal that you thought you would, doing the quick short route. So I mean, here's the thing. I feel patience matters because it really ties into compounding, and compounding, especially compounding interest. It takes time. There's just simply no way of skipping years of growth in the market. And if you think about it like this, if you invest $500 a month for 10 years, you'll build a nice chunk of money. I actually just looked it up on Google real quick. If you invest $500 a month for 10 years, this bases it off a like 10% return, which I mean we know, like, based, with inflation, you're probably looking at closer to 7 to 8%. But let's just stick with the 10%, for simplicity's sake. After 10 years of investing $500 a month, you're looking at about $101,000. Now, I mean, sounds nice, sounds like a nice chunk of change. You initially put in $60,000 over those 10 years, and you end up making $101,000, so about $40,000 in growth. But if you turn that 10 years into 30 years, if you do $500 a month for 30 years, you're looking at about $180,000. But with that 10% rate of return over 30 years, your investments could grow to probably a little over $1 million. But I mean, if you adjust for inflation, it'll probably be a little less. But like I said, we're just sticking with the 10% for simplicity's sake. But I mean, if you just listen, like 100,000, 110,000, I think it was, compared to closer to $1 million, that's a big difference. That's a big chunk of change. It's life changing money. But like I said, guys, that really only happens if you give your money the time to grow, give your money the time to compound, and just overall, if you have that patience in the market. With the benefits of patience, there's dangers of impatience, just not being patient overall. It's really the opposite of what most people fall into. Impatience, they see a hot stock, especially AI. They might be investing heavily into these AI companies. A lot of people are buying crypto, or they jump in because they don't want to, quote unquote, miss out on the fad, the new trend, the new trending stock, the new trending product. But the problem with that is consistently chasing, the hype stock, the hype product, the hype business, and just constantly switching your strategies to new things. It means you really never let anything work for you. You always are kind of starting back at zero. You're like, oh, well, hey, I invested in this company for a year, but they went belly under. But whatever money I had left, I put it into this other company, or I put it into this other stock that I think is going to do good. And you just kind of keep resetting yourself a little bit, or at least mentally, I would feel. You're really not putting your money into something that like, I mean, especially over the last decades and centuries, that it is consistently gone up in price, which would be like index funds or S&P 500. You just always kind of reset yourself in a way. And I'm not preaching, I'm not preaching patience as, sit around and do nothing, and hopefully you get to your goal. It's more about being consistent, having consistent actions over time, whether that be, saving and investing every month, even when it feels boring, or even when you think, you're really not growing your portfolio, sticking with your career or business long enough to actually see the rewards. It's really about playing the long game, when everyone else is looking for instant wins, instant gratification. Like I said, the get rich quick scheme. Maybe you get lucky, but nine times out of 10, you're probably making someone else money compared to making yourself money. So keep that in mind. So, that kind of gets us into a mindset shift. Patience is power, guys. Most people usually end up quitting too early. They give up on investing. They're not reaching their goal fast enough, or they invest for a couple of years and they realize, well, how is this possibly going to grow to 30 years? Like they don't do the math. They just rush it. They rush it, guys. They're not patient with it. And this could strike right before that real growth happens. I don't know if you guys ever seen more like a meme, or I know like some motivation where like it's two guys are mining, like they're right above, they're like one's above the other, and one hits a wall and the other hits diamonds, and the one that hasn't reached his diamonds yet quits, but you see a little bit ahead of the guy. Like if he would have kept mining for a little bit further, he would have hit his diamonds. So I could be completely talking out of my ass here. Maybe you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, but I mean, what I'm getting at is sometimes, sometimes someone may reach their goal a little bit faster than you, or vice versa, but try a little further, keep pushing a little bit, and, you will eventually reach your goal. I believe that wholeheartedly. And, if you can hold steady, you will be able to put yourself in the small group of people who actually succeed in this life, who actually retire or get to that retirement age as a multimillionaire, or insert value you want to live off of. If your goal, by retirement is reaching $500,000 in your savings or investment accounts, hell, you reach it. If you want to be a multimillionaire, if you stick to it, if you're successful in life, if you're patient with it, you can do that as well. So quick video tonight, really quick. I'm surprisingly, there's still Clash of Clans background playing. So if you take anything from this, guys, let it be this. Wealth isn't about who gets there the fastest. Obviously, it would be nice if you can reach your FIRE goal or your retirement goal half the age of retirement. That'd be nice. You'd be able to take time off quicker. You'd be able to be a little more laxed with working a normal schedule, a normal hourly, or I guess a normal 40-hour week. But wealth isn't about who gets there the fastest. It's about who stays consistent the longest. Don't chase shortcuts. Don't chase the get rich quick scheme. Don't watch the gurus who are like, hey, put all your money in Hawk2a coin. I still am just baffled by people who buy into that stupid shit and expect to make a bunch of money, or don't expect to just get all their money taken from them, scammed pretty much. But hey, that's survival of the fittest, I guess. So trust the process, guys. Patience is what separates those from, separates those who wish from those who win. If you're patient with it, you're going to be successful. It's inevitable. I mean, it's time and time again, it's happened. Many people retire millionaires, and they'll tell you the same thing. Be patient, invest. Dollar cost average. You're going to get to your goal. So I would like to wrap it up here, everybody. Thanks again for the support. Slowly climbing up there. I think I'm getting the last 30 days probably got like 5 subscribers. So it may not sound like a lot to some, but starting from 0, then I think we're hovering around 15 to 17, I think. It's growth, guys. Like I said, be patient with it, and hopefully I'll see success down the line with this YouTube channel. So I want to thank everybody again, and as always, the lunch table out. Hey guys, this is a quick edit after the recording. I noticed there was a lot of background noise in the back. I just wanted to apologize for that. A little gathering at the house tonight, so a lot of people making noise. So once again, wanted to apologize for that, and hopefully that will not be happening in the future. But like I said, just wanted to add this little piece in at the end. Take care, everybody. See ya.